a little bit of a coda, a little bit of a reprise this morning, just to start off. Remember on day one how we started? I asked you to pay attention to your breathing as the foreground, and then I asked you to do movements while keeping the breathing in the foreground. And some of you came up to me and made a comment about this notion of not disturbing the breath. And I clarified something. I said, you know, when you're doing lessons, there's two ways to go. You can try to shape your movement so that your breathing is not interfered with. And in other lessons, you let the movement shape the breathing. But in both scenarios, what you're doing is getting always the air that you need. The air that you need. Because that's Feldenkrais's definition of what good breathing is. Good breathing is always being able to get the air that you need, no matter what the circumstances. Yeah. So on that first day, we did let the breathing shape the movement, shape the breathing around, shape the movement around the breathing. Now, we've done a few ATMs since then. Let's come back to that same idea. And let's do it like this. You've done pelvic clock. You've done arm clock, although I didn't mention clock, but you did. And you did leg clock, although I didn't mention clock. So you've done 3 clocks. You're going to choose your best moment in the pelvic clock. Something that you remember in the pelvic clock that when you did it, you just went, oh, that's so good. Do you remember that? No, you don't remember one moment. Oh, well, you're going to have to go looking for it. It was all torturous. Oh, damn. Well, here's your opportunity. Find one moment, 1 minute in the pelvic clock where you can just go, oh, that's so nice. Yeah? In other words, what I'm encouraging you to do is rather than have your attention captured by what you can't do, to take your attention and focus on, this is what I can do, and it feels really good. Because if your attention is captured over here, all you are is really stuck in no good land. I'm no good, the teacher's no good, this lesson sucks, the whole world is terrible, when's the meteor coming? Yeah? That's where we can go to. Yeah? But if you have this ploy of, okay, I've suddenly realized I'm stuck into focusing on what I can't do. I know in myself that there are things in this lesson that I can do. Let me shift my focus to that. And that changes your whole demeanor. It changes your whole mood. Yeah. And you're no longer entrapped in, I can't. You are now somewhere else. So think to yourself for a moment. Remember, recall, reimagine a moment in the pelvic clock lesson and start to do it. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be lying down, it could be sitting. It could be just going backwards and forwards from 1 hour to another hour. It could be having the soles of the feet together or not having the soles of the feet together, whatever. But please recall for yourself something in that pelvic clock series where you have a vivid memory of yourself as being able. And then, once you're there, put breathing right into the foreground. So bring your attention vividly to your breathing, and then keep doing the movement that you're doing with the breathing in the foreground. And it could be that if you do that, if you start to shape your movement even more so that breathing becomes freer, easier, fuller, the clock itself, the movements that you're doing related to the pelvic clock, they might get better. So that's the hypothesis. You're testing it out. Rest when you want to, return to it when you want to. And some of you might find that when you recall one moment in which you found the movements easy, other moments will start to spring to mind. You'll go, oh yeah, I found that particular variation easy too, which means you can go and do that with breathing in the foreground of your attention. Now you remember that some of the features of breathing, you can attend to this, the tactile sensations of the air flowing past skin, through the nose, the back of the throat, down into the bronchial tubes. That is a whole way of paying attention to your breathing. And then there is another way of paying attention to your breathing, which is to actually attend to the movements associated with the act of breathing. Chest, abdomen, ribs. Are you still attending to your breathing? Okay, please stop doing those movements, but keep paying attention to your breathing. So now the movements that you're doing are the movements associated with breathing. Just rest there for a moment. And remember, yesterday we did a series of movements where you were lying on the right side and making a circle with your right arm around you on the floor, could you get yourself into that position or some position, and then start to do whatever you remember you were able to do. And the most important thing is that you bring to mind intentionally something in which you felt able, without dismissing it as a great achievement or a little achievement. The most important thing is you recognize that at that moment, doing that movement, you were able. You know the book Awareness Through Movement? That was originally published in Hebrew in Israel in the late 60s. You know what its title was in Hebrew? Yes, I Can. That's cute, huh? Not Awareness Through Movement. Yes, I Can. Now, bring your attention to your breathing and foreground it. Which means if you foreground your breathing, the other movements go into the background. They're still there. They're still there in your attention, but they're not there in vivid detail anymore. And you begin to move yourself in a way that doesn't disturb your breathing. Now, chances are, and this is another hypothesis, chances are in those movements where you're entirely able, where you sense yourself as, yes, I can, your breathing is not interfered with anyway. So you're doing something that you already know how to do well, which is great. It's just now you're intentionally paying attention to it. That's all. Now that's the hypothesis. What are you sensing in yourself? So breathing is in the foreground. The other movements have receded into the background, not into darkness. You know, it's not like I'm either in the light or in the dark. No, it's not like that. I'm going to return to my theatre analogy. If attention is like a spotlight, the actor on the stage is illuminated more brightly than the rest of the stage, but the rest of the stage is still illuminated. It's just the spotlight is on a very particular actor. That's all. Same thing here. Your attention is spotlighting your breathing, but the rest of the movement stage is still illuminated. Not in great detail, but enough for you to notice what's going on. And once again, you might find that as you begin to remember what you were able to do, other moments in which you were able will start to come to mind. And it seems this is how our minds work. We focus on something particular and then it takes us down a path, it takes us down a track, kind of like get into a groove. Okay, please stop and simply attend to your breathing again. Now, those moments in lessons, when you get to a certain place and suddenly you hit this wall of, my God, I can't do that. You have now two options. Return back to something that you can do and continue and elaborate it. Or bring your attention to your breathing and see if you can use your breathing to help you guide yourself into being able to do that which is not immediately possible. Now, please recall the very last lesson we did yesterday before we all went home, which was circling the feet around the pelvis. And please remember any small or large portion of that lesson in which you were able. And please go ahead and do it. And just like the other two, bring breathing right into the foreground of your attention. Oh, I won't sit here. I'll spare me. Actually, there were two moments. There was a lying down moment and a sitting up moment, whatever you can recall. And to bring breathing right into the foreground so that nothing you do interferes with your breathing. And remember earlier I said, well, chances are that if you felt very able, you weren't interfering with your breathing in the first place. So for some of you, there's not much to do. You're already doing it, not interfering. So the overarching idea here is not about the movement and it's not about the breathing. It is how can you take yourself out of a frame of mind where you feel I can't, into a frame of mind where you can say to yourself, I think I can do that. I can. Because from that frame of mind where you can say to yourself, I can, there's a different pathway. It leads somewhere else. And you'll discover things along that pathway. But if you just stay in that zone of I can't, that's a different pathway. You'll definitely find different things along there. Great. Let that be. Stop. Just spend a few moments paying attention to your breathing, sitting, lying, standing, side lying, tummy lying, however you like. It's not by any accident that in many of the contemplative traditions throughout the world, be they Christian or Buddhist or Hindu or Muslim, there is this practice of attending to breathing. It's not accidental. For Moshe Feldenkrais, the attention to breathing is of primary importance because it's essential to life. If you stop breathing, you die. If the breathing is interfered with, your whole body chemistry changes. The acidity levels in your blood change, and that affects your wellness. So for Moshe Feldenkrais, he was very interested in the physiological effect of breathing. Especially in terms of vitality. Leading a vital human life. Okay. So please come up to sit. And could you get together in, let's say, a group of 5? Is a group of 5 a nice size for discussion, or would you like it larger or smaller? What do you think? 5? It's okay? Okay. So get together in a group of 5, and then I'll tell you what to discuss.